Have you ever imagined a place where the land itself breathes mystery, where every step could be your last, and where the rulers of the wild walk not just in silence but in shadows? This is the Sundarbans, the world's largest mangrove forest stretching across Bangladesh and India, where rivers twist like serpents and fog kisses the treetops. But beneath this breathtaking beauty lies something darker, something untamed. Here, the Bengal tiger doesn't just hunt, it dominates. Known as the man-eaters of the mangroves, these elusive predators have mastered the art of vanishing into the mist, striking with deadly precision. Locals call it the Wall of Mystery. A living barrier of water, trees, and fear. Every tide tells a story of survival, every shadow hides a heartbeat. In the Sundarbans, humans are guests, and not always welcome ones. Before we step deeper into this living legend of nature, make sure you subscribe, like, and drop your thoughts in the comments, because what you're about to discover will change the way you see the wild forever. They call it the meeting place of two worlds. A place where the river forgets whether it belongs to the land or the sea, where saltwater and freshwater wrestle every hour, shaping a landscape that never looks the same twice. This is the Sundarbans, a forest that doesn't stand still. It breathes, it shifts, it changes its face with every tide. Here, life exists in two dimensions, above the water and beneath it. What seems like a stretch of calm river may, within minutes, become a surge of tidal fury. Trees grow with their roots exposed like veins, twisting upward to breathe the heavy air. The mud is alive, home to millions of creatures that crawl, hide, and vanish when the water rises. It's a world that plays tricks on the senses. The air smells of salt and decay, of mangroves and mystery. The horizon flickers between light and shadow as clouds roll in from the Bay of Bengal. In the distance, you hear the hiss of water meeting water, two forces locked in eternal combat. And within this ever-changing chaos walks the undisputed monarch of the mangroves, the Bengal tiger. No other tiger on earth lives like this one. Here, the predator has adapted to both worlds, swimming effortlessly through channels where crocodiles glide and stalking prey along muddy riverbanks that could vanish in an instant. In this realm, even the tiger has to read the tides. It knows when the rivers rise, when the fish move, when the deer gather near the edges of the forest. Its golden coat, dappled with shadow, melts perfectly into the mangrove maze. But survival in this place isn't just for the tiger. Fishermen, honey collectors, and woodcutters from nearby villages venture into the jungle daily, guided by generations of instinct and an unspoken fear. They read the forest like a language, the flutter of birds, the direction of the breeze, the distant alarm call of a monkey. Because one mistake here doesn't mean getting lost, it means never coming back. In this dual world, nothing belongs entirely to one side. The land is too wet to be stable, the water too thick with roots to be open. It's neither earth nor sea, but something in between, an unfinished world that nature keeps rewriting. Scientists say this fusion of salt and fresh water creates one of the richest ecosystems on Earth, but locals know it as something else, a living, breathing being that must be respected, or it will take you without a sound. The tides are unpredictable, the ground unstable, and yet life flourishes. Deer graze on patches of dry land that might disappear by dusk. Crabs scuttle across mudflats that will soon be rivers again, and in the silence of dawn, a pair of tiger eyes break the surface of the water, watching, waiting. To the outsider, the Sundarbans seems like paradise, endless green, silver rivers, and a sky that never ends. But those who live here understand its temper. The tides decide the rhythm of life and death. The same waters that feed the villages can turn violent overnight. The same jungle that shelters birds and fish hides the stealthiest predator known to man. The dual world is not just nature's experiment, it's her warning. Every creature that survives here has learned balance, humility, and fear. Even the tiger, the hunter of hunters, bows to the tide. The moment arrogance replaces awareness, the Sundarbans reclaims what belongs to it. It is a world where boundaries blur, where sea becomes forest and predator becomes ghost. And in this twilight between worlds, life continues to fight, breathe, and adapt. Because in the Sundarbans, the question is never who rules the land or the sea, but who dares to live between them. They call it the vanishing tiger, a phantom that rules the mangrove maze yet is rarely seen. In the Sundarbans, the Bengal tiger isn't just an animal, it's a spirit, a shadow, a presence that you feel long before you see. For generations, fishermen, honey collectors, and woodcutters have spoken of its sudden appearances. A flash of gold and black between the mangroves, the sound of something heavy moving through the mist, the silence that follows. Here, the tiger doesn't chase its prey, it materializes, strikes, and fades into the forest as if the jungle itself swallowed it whole. What makes this tiger so unique is its extraordinary adaptation to an environment no other big cat dares to rule. In the Sundarbans, the ground is never still, the water never calm, and the line between land and river vanishes with every tide. The tiger has learned to swim across wide channels, sometimes for hours, against strong currents and swirling mud. Locals say they've seen these tigers glide silently through the water, eyes barely above the surface, moving like ghosts toward distant islands. Scientists have recorded them swimming more than 7 kilometers at a stretch, a feat unmatched by any other tiger on Earth. But the tiger's vanishing act goes beyond swimming. The dense mangroves, with their twisted roots and endless shadows, form a labyrinth that even experienced forest guards struggle to navigate. The tiger knows every turn, every scent trail, every patch of dry ground that appears when the tide falls. Its body has evolved for this terrain: shorter legs for balance, a lighter build for climbing, and a coat patterned perfectly to melt into the flickering light of the mangrove canopy. To spot one in the wild is almost impossible. Even camera traps placed for months often record only fragments, a tail, a paw, or the faint reflection of eyes in the dark. It hunts differently here too. Deer, wild boar, and even monkeys are fair game, but so are creatures drawn to the river's edge. Sometimes tragically humans. In most jungles, tigers avoid human contact, but in the Sundarbans, they have learned that the border between wild and village is thin, almost invisible. Storms, rising seas, and shrinking forest land have brought people closer to the tiger's world, and the tiger has adapted, ambushing from water, dragging prey silently into the swamp. It's not hatred or revenge that drives these attacks. It's survival in a world that's shrinking with every tide. What's even more mysterious is their uncanny ability to disappear. Researchers tracking them with GPS collars have watched the signals vanish for days, as if the forest itself interfered. Then, suddenly the tiger reappears miles away across rivers and islands, as though it had walked through walls of water and time. Forest rangers tell stories of following fresh tracks that simply end at a riverbank with no sign of crossing. The tiger just fades. Some locals believe these tigers possess something beyond instinct, a spiritual awareness of their forest. They say the tiger chooses when to be seen. The villagers, before entering the forest, pray to Bon Bibi, the guardian goddess of the jungle, asking her permission and protection. Because in the Sundarbans, faith and fear walk together. Every hunt, every harvest of honey begins with a silent request: let the tiger see me, but not want me. And maybe that's the real reason these tigers vanish, because they are more than predators here. They are symbols of nature's intelligence, its patience, its power to adapt and hide when pushed too far. The vanishing tiger isn't disappearing from existence, it's disappearing from our reach, from our understanding. In this watery kingdom where land floats and rivers breathe, the tiger has become the ultimate survivor. It doesn't need to roar to claim its power. Its silence is enough. Its footprints washed away by the tide are reminders that some mysteries are not meant to be solved, only respected. Because in the Sundarbans, the tiger is not lost. It's watching, waiting, and vanishing exactly when it chooses. They call it the edge of fear, the invisible line where the human world ends and the tiger's world begins. In the Sundarbans, that line is crossed every single day. Villagers wake before dawn, their boats creaking in the mist, heading deep into the mangrove maze to fish, gather honey, or cut wood. They do it not out of courage, but out of necessity. For them, the jungle is both a provider and a predator, a place that feeds them and a place that could take their life in an instant. The fear of the tiger lives in every heartbeat, yet they keep returning because the forest is their only means of survival. The human stories of the Sundarbans are written in whispers, tales passed from one generation to the next. A fisherman who never came back, a honey collector whose sandals were found at the edge of the river, a woodcutter who saw 2 golden eyes gleaming from the fog just before everything went silent. In these villages, loss is not rare, it is expected. The tiger is not a monster in a fairy tale, it is real, it is near, and it rules the forest like a god that demands both respect and fear. Yet what's most haunting is not the roar, but the silence. Survivors of tiger attacks often recall that the forest went unnaturally quiet before it happened. No birds, no insects, no sound of movement. Then out of nowhere the tiger was there, no growl, no warning. A shadow, a splash, and then nothing but the rhythm of water hitting roots. The people of the Sundarbans have learned to listen to silence. They say when the forest holds its breath, danger is close. But despite the risk, the villagers return. Every season, thousands enter the forest to collect honey, liquid gold that the mangroves produce. They navigate narrow creeks, marking trees with cloth so they can find their way back. They sing prayers to Bon Bibi, the forest goddess whose name they whisper before setting foot in tiger territory. Her blessing, they believe, keeps the tiger's hunger at bay. Yet even faith cannot always protect them. The forest is vast, and the tiger knows every inch of it. It's a cruel balance. Humans need the forest to live, but the forest belongs to the tiger. Over time, deforestation and rising sea levels have pushed both closer together. Villages now sit right on the edge of tiger trails. Sometimes during high tide or storms, tigers swim across to the villages, prowling the outskirts at night. In the morning, footprints the size of dinner plates mark the mud. Mothers keep their children inside. The air itself feels watched. Still, the people of the Sundarbans don't hate the tiger. They fear it, yes, but in a strange way, they also honor it. To them, the tiger is the keeper of balance, the enforcer of nature's laws. Without it, they believed the forest would lose its soul. Some even build small shrines near the forest's edge, leaving offerings, rice, flowers, bits of honey, hoping the tiger will stay satisfied far away from their homes. To live here is to exist with constant awareness. Every sound, every ripple in the water, every gust of wind carries meaning. The tiger's presence defines life itself. Children grow up hearing their parents say, "Respect the forest," and the forest will respect you. It's not just a saying, it's survival. The human fear of the Sundarbans is not the kind born of imagination. It's the kind you feel in your bones when you know something larger than yourself is watching. It's ancient, primal, and strangely beautiful. Because even in the shadow of danger, the people endure, they build, they fish, they sing. Life goes on, wrapped in fear, wrapped in faith. And every night, when the tides rise and the fog thickens, that ancient dance begins again, between man and tiger, courage and caution, survival and surrender. In the Sundarbans, the fear never fades. It becomes part of who you are, a reminder that to live here is to live with the tiger, always just beyond the next bend in the river, unseen but ever present, waiting in the silence. They say the jungle speaks, but in the Sundarbans, it whispers. And when that whisper fades, when the forest holds its breath, that's when you know something is about to happen. Those who have survived encounters here all tell the same story. Before the tiger strikes, there is no roar, no growl, no warning. Only the soft rustle of water brushing against roots, the faint splash of a fish jumping, and then silence. They call it the ghost sound. A sound that isn't a sound at all. It's the absence of life, the quiet before death. For centuries, the people of the Sundarbans have learned to read the forest like a living language. The calls of monkeys, the chatter of birds, the hum of insects, these are the signs of balance, of safety. But when the air turns heavy and even the breeze seems to freeze, every villager knows to stop moving, to hold still, to listen. Because silence here isn't peace, it's a warning. Somewhere unseen, the tiger is watching. This silence is the tiger's weapon. Unlike its cousins in open jungles, the Sundarbans tiger doesn't need to roar to claim its territory. The dense mangrove roots and muddy ground absorb every sound, turning echoes into whispers. The tiger has learned to move without a sound, placing each paw with surgical precision, melting into the shadows like smoke. Even the splash of its step in the shallow water is soft, deliberate, calculated. The jungle helps it, muffling its presence. As if the forest itself conspires with the hunter. Survivors who live to tell their stories describe the same eerie moment. One second they were cutting wood or collecting honey, surrounded by the constant buzzes of life. The next, everything went still. No birds, no frogs, even the wind stopped. It's as if the entire forest knew what was about to happen. And then, in that breathless pause, the tiger appeared, a blur of gold and black, a force of nature exploding from the shadows. Most never heard a roar. The jungle swallowed every sound except the crash of water and the echo of a single scream. Scientists studying the Sundarbans believe this ghost silence isn't just coincidence. The ecosystem itself reacts to the presence of the tiger. Prey animals freeze, birds go quiet, and even the smallest creatures retreat underground. The forest becomes a canvas of stillness, allowing the predator to move unseen. To the human ear, it feels supernatural, as though the tiger's spirit commands the silence itself. But in truth, it's the perfection of instinct and evolution. A predator so skilled, its very presence changes the rhythm of life around it. In villages bordering the jungle, old men still tell stories of this haunting quiet. They say the forest talks to those who know how to listen. A fisherman once claimed that moments before his companion vanished, he felt a strange vibration in the air, not a sound, but a feeling like the pulse of the earth slowing down. He turned, and the man beside him was gone. Only footprints remained, leading into the trees. The villagers never found him. They say the tiger took him without a sound, carried away by the ghost of the mangroves. Some call it superstition, others call it respect. But no one doubts that the Sundarbans holds power beyond comprehension. The silence is both beautiful and terrifying. It reminds everyone who the true ruler of the forest is. To walk here is to accept that you are being watched, even when you see nothing. The forest listens to your breath, measures your steps, and decides whether you belong. And if the jungle falls silent, if the ghost sound descends, and the air turns heavy, you don't run, you don't shout. You stand still, pray to the goddess Bon Bibi, and hope that the forest chooses to let you leave, because in the Sundarban silence is not emptiness, it is the tiger's voice, unheard, unseen, but always felt. The ghost sound is its warning, its presence, its power. A reminder that in this world of shifting tides and living shadows, the loudest sound of all is the silence before the strike. When the wind turns wild and the sea begins to rise, the people of the Sundarbans look to their green shield, the endless wall of mangroves that stands between life and destruction. It's called nature's fortress, and for thousands of years it has guarded the delta with silent strength. No brick, no steel, no wall built by human hands could ever rival its power. The forest bends but never breaks. It absorbs the fury of storms, tames the rage of tides, and protects millions who live along its fragile edges. But inside that same fortress lies a world far more dangerous than any cyclone, a world ruled by mud, water, and predators. The Sundarbans stretch across nearly 10,000 square kilometers, a labyrinth of islands, tidal creeks, and shifting channels. At first glance, it looks peaceful, a lush green maze floating on silver water. But when storms roll in from the Bay of Bengal, this paradise transforms into a battlefield. Waves rise higher than trees, rain lashes like knives, and winds howl with the fury of the gods. Villages crumble, boats vanish, and yet the mangroves stand, their roots gripping the earth like claws, their branches absorbing the storm's wrath. They are nature's armor, protecting both land and life. Every year, these trees save millions from devastation. They act as living breakwaters, slowing the surge of cyclones and tides before they can swallow villages whole. Scientists say without the Sundarbans, parts of Bangladesh and eastern India would already be underwater. The forest doesn't just block storms, it breathes for the planet. It filters salt, cleans water, and traps carbon in its muddy depths. It's not just a wall, it's a living machine, one of nature's most intelligent designs. But every fortress has its dangers within. Behind that wall of protection lies a kingdom ruled by chaos. Here, crocodiles patrol the rivers like sentinels, venomous snakes coil in the roots, and the mighty Bengal tiger roams, the ultimate predator of this natural citadel. For the people who depend on the Sundarbans, this duality defines life itself. The same forest that shields them from storms also hides the creature they fear most. It is both savior and executioner. When cyclones destroy their homes, villagers flee into the forest for safety, seeking higher ground among the trees. And sometimes the tiger follows. Forest guards have found footprints side by side, human and tiger, pressed into the wet earth, both fleeing the same storm. It's a chilling reminder that in the Sundarbans, predator and prey share the same shelter, bound by nature's laws, survival first, fear later. Over the years, the forest has become humanity's last defense against the changing climate. Rising seas, melting glaciers, and relentless storms all push against its strength. Scientists warn that if the mangroves fall, the sea will reclaim the land. And yet, despite human encroachment and deforestation, the Sundarbans endure. They heal themselves. When one island sinks, another rises. When trees die, new shoots sprout from the mud. The forest rebuilds itself endlessly, a cycle as old as the earth itself. To the villagers, this resilience is sacred. They speak of the mangroves as a living god, a being that shields them not only from the wrath of nature, but from the wrath of fate. Many make offerings at the base of mangrove roots after surviving a storm, tying bits of cloth or coins in gratitude. For them, the forest is not just a wall of trees, it's a guardian spirit that watches, protects, and punishes. But that protection comes with a price. Every year, as people venture deeper into the jungle for fish, honey, and wood, the balance tips further. More trees fall, more tigers lose their ground, and the fortress weakens from within. The same walls that protect millions could one day collapse if the respect they command is lost. And so, the Sundarbans remain what they have always been, a paradox. A sanctuary that saves lives and takes them, a wall of defense built not by man but by time, tide, and nature's will. It stands tall against the world's fiercest storms, not in defiance, but in quiet strength, because this forest knows a truth humans often forget: power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it stands silently, rooted deep in the mud, holding the world together while no one is watching. In the Sundarbans, every life, human or animal, is bound by a single ancient understanding: survival depends on respect. Here, the tiger is not just a predator, and the people are not just its prey. They share an unspoken pact written in mud, water, and time. The villagers call it the sacred balance. It is the invisible law that holds the forest together, a fragile harmony between fear and faith, between man and beast, between giver and taker. For centuries, the people of the Sundarbans have lived alongside the tiger, never truly safe, yet never declaring war. They understand something the modern world often forgets, that the jungle does not belong to them. It belongs to everything that breathes within it. Every time a fisherman steps into his boat, every time a honey collector pushes deeper into the mangroves, he whispers a prayer to Bon Bibi, the guardian goddess of the forest. Her name is spoken with trembling reverence: Bon Bibi Ma, protect me from the tiger, and protect the tiger from me. According to legend, Bon Bibi was sent to the Sundarbans to keep peace between man and nature. Her brother Shah Jangali and her sworn enemy Dakin Rai, a powerful spirit who could take the form of a tiger, symbolized the eternal struggle between greed and balance. To this day, villagers believe that when people take only what they need, Bon Bibi blesses them. But when someone enters the forest with greed, the tiger, Dakin Rai, appears to punish them. In this way, mythology becomes morality and faith becomes the law of the land. The villagers wear small amulets of Bon Bibi around their necks, carved from wood or molded from clay. They never speak loudly in the forest, never point toward the trees, never say the tiger's name aloud. They call it Bog Ma, Uncle Tiger, not out of affection, but out of respect. Because in the Sundarbans, the tiger is both destroyer and protector. When it takes a life, the people do not curse it. They say it was destiny, that the forest needed balance once again. This coexistence is not born from peace, but from acceptance. The people live with fear, but they also understand that fear is part of the forest's rhythm. The tiger reminds them of their place in the chain, not above, but among. Every day, humans and tigers cross the same paths, drink from the same waters, and depend on the same tides. It is a relationship built on unspoken rules. The villagers know they cannot control the forest, they can only live within its mercy. Yet this sacred balance is under threat. As deforestation spreads and sea levels rise, the tigers lose their territory. Hunger drives them closer to the villages, blurring the boundary between the wild and the human world. Attacks increase, tempers flare, and fear turns into anger. But even now, most villagers refuse to take revenge. They believe killing a tiger would break the covenant of Bonbibi, inviting disaster. To harm the tiger is to harm the forest, and without the forest, there is no life. Scientists call the Sundarbans one of the most delicate ecosystems on Earth, where every creature plays a role in maintaining the whole. But for the people who live here, this isn't science, it's faith, lived and breathed each day. They have learned what many have not, that coexistence is not a choice but a necessity. That balance is not found in dominance, but in surrender. The Sundarbans teach a lesson few are willing to hear, that survival is not about conquering nature, but about aligning with it. The forest, the tiger, and the tide all speak the same truth. Everything is connected. When one falls, all fall. When one thrives, all thrive. And as the sun sets over the tangled mangroves, painting the river's gold, the forest seems to whisper that ancient truth once more, a truth as old as the tide, as deep as the roots that hold the earth together. Respect the balance, or the balance will reclaim you. So if you ever find yourself standing at the edge of this mystical world where land, sea, and spirit merge into one, remember, the tiger does not guard the jungle alone. It guards the law of life itself, and that is the final secret of the Sundarbans, a sacred balance that binds every living soul beneath its emerald canopy, forever reminding us that nature never forgets and never forgives.